Aaron Connie here from the Dobbers, and welcome to week 3 of round 2 of Shim-Line Saturdays. So this week's pairings we have Rooftop Rumble versus the Mighty Blitz. So let's just dive straight on into it, get this critical role versus attack on Titan battle beginning, starting off with Rooftop Rumble. So we got this one right now. The shim line is almost perfectly down the centre. If we do a bit of a zoom in, you can see it's a wee bit off. It's maybe like a solid half of a thumb to the right. So it's going to get docked a little bit of points, but nothing too major. Maybe not even enough to really warrant the full docking of points. Maybe a 0.5 I'm thinking is coming off of this. The flaw here with it though is I think it interrupts the art in the background. One of the cool things with these peril cards, right, which I genuinely think is some of the best art they've done when it comes to these alts, is you have the manga panels in the background. Now, the peril versions, unlike the obsidian versions where you can't see absolute shit, the peril versions have perfect backgrounding art. I think this is some of the best stuff they've ever done. I love this. I wasn't even a fan of like the manga stuff, but I like the idea of this art. I think it really does incorporate what Attack on Titan is going into this card game. What I don't like is that sadly this shim could have been perfect if it was over a bit to the right. Again, kind of like last week, it would kind of dodge some extra points loss if it was able to fit more into the art, but it does kind of cut through some random person's head. I'm going to assume it's one of the Ackermans or something like that. But it cuts through him and it's just off. If it was over a wee bit, I think it would have either been in the line of what looks as if it's the building, or it would have been in line with the manga panel art. And I think it would have saved itself some points. So sadly, it's going to get a swift kick in the Ackermans for me, where I just think it has kind of ruined it a little bit. Because it looks as if there's like a second panel there, and I don't like it. Yeah, it's ruined it for me. Totally ruined it. Down at the bottom, I think it's not super noticeable as such. Just looking at some of the angles, for instance, you get a kind of angle at this, and honestly, it's only the top half that seems to be getting hit with it that much. So I think there's moments where it could look hits it have like a hidden shim, but a lot of times it looks as if it's in the background just enough to hide it. But otherwise, this one's a tough one. I think I'm going to be strict on the fact that I think it ruins the background art. But again, who also cares about background art? So we're having to have a bit of a battle here. I actually think this is going to get a 3.5. I think the shim's close enough to the centre where I don't think it warrants the points getting docked. But what I would have stopped it getting a nice 4 is the fact that it does look as if the art in the background's it's very noticeably cut off. So it's going to get hit with that. Yeah, 3.5 for sure. So I think we should now look on to its competitor and see what's happening with one of the many, the Mighty Blitz. Now this card has got internal fighting in its own right, because there was actually 2 copies of Mighty Blitz with essentially the same shim. I think this one was still technically closer. I'm sure the other one was slightly off to the left on the moon, if I remember rightfully. So this one, I think, does actually just happen to fit the criteria, being a little better on the centering for the shim. So I think it's going to not, again, same to the Rooftop Rumble, probably not get hit with as bad a pointage. But again, does it interrupt the art? That's where we have to now start looking at. Some of these cards, it's all about the art for when it comes into these points. Cuts through the moon. It's got a really cool shim line though, right, when you look at it because of the moon, and it gives it that kind of two-tone gradient, which is really nice. I like that a little bit. But at the same time as well, does it interrupt that scenario? I think it does. See if that was just a full-on shim out the road, non-interrupted, maybe the moon would look that little bit better. I think it, again, it's another one of these ones that the art also seems to be cutting behind some of the art, the way it looks as such. And then when you see the tech side of things, if we zoom in on that a little bit, it looks like it's very aggressively in the forefront. This is a tough one to determine. I think I'm going to be the same scenario. I don't think it's going to lose the points for it being off centre too much, because I think it's as close as it could naturally get with it being a completely unnatural thing. And then I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to have to dock the points for the art. I think mainly because it cuts through where the text is, which just interrupts that big swoosh as well. So I think we're going to give this a flat 3. I think this is going to get a flat 3 this week. It's a close one, to be honest with you. I don't think either one of them is massively ahead of each other. I think you are going to have to really fight this one out in the comments. Again, you are going to have multiple options to vote. Bear in mind, any comment you put on these is going to count, including all of the posts where they go live, on top of all the discords they go into. So you're more than welcome to have a million votes. But yeah, let's line these two up, these two massive contenders. So this week, as we say, we have a Rooftop Rumble versus the Mighty Blitz. Again, put your comments in the comment sections below, all where it's applicable. Who do you want to see in round 3? And yep, there we have it, everyone. I'll see you all next week for episode or week 4 of Shim-Line Saturdays.